All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Live with the Quarantine. I am Roslyn M. Ogburn, and this is
Henrietta Ivy.
and we thank you for tuning in this evening. We have a special edition. If you notice, it's a Tuesday night. We're normally on Fridays, but yes, we had right before us our mayoral candidate, Anthony Adams. If you guys missed him, make sure you go back on YouTube, live on Twitter, or on the Facebook Live. So we want to make sure you guys get access and get that information that he was talking about, right?
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
so we appreciate you tuning in.
Yes.
And then we're going to go on and pass it over to Henrietta so she can do our promotions and let you know who you're tuning in with and how you can just connect with us through the evening.
Good evening, everybody. And again, you are sitting here live with WJZZ. We are the Quarantine, and I'm sitting here again with my host, Rosalind Ogborn, candidate Rosalind Ogborn, who's running for the 9th district and or 15 after the redistricting. So let me just run it down. You are watching WJZZ live, streaming from Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching WJZZ, the coolest TV in the world.
Thank you, Henrietta. And so we're going to switch and, swap off on that. But we had to make sure we give honor and accolades to our station, right? The coolest, live TV station, cool TV in the world, right? And so we just thank you for once again to tune in on a special Tuesday night. And so, just as Henrietta has uplifted, I am the candidate for state representative for 9th House District for 2022. And so we're going to go into just a brief reason why I'm running, right? Yeah. A lot of people have asked me, why would you get into politics? Mm-hmm. What would make you get into the current fiasco and a lot of the confusions that we see that's going on up in Lansing or in D.C., across the country and so forth. Yes. And so I would just like to just uplift the fact that I'm not new to this political arena, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. I basically started off, I didn't know I was a professional volunteer, mm-hmm. but the beginning factor was just engaging in the classrooms with my young daughter and then progressively moving in more spaces with my sons, but then realizing parents needed a space. Mm-hmm. Parents needed more funding. Parents needed more access mm-hmm. to understand what their children was learning mm-hmm. and more resources. So that started first, parent organizing, right? And so at the next levels, then I didn't know my heart was called an environmentalist or a naturalist.
And she's damn good at it. I'm telling you, she knows her stuff. So I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, she knows what she's talking about.
And the thing is, being born in California, I say born on the, starting to turn that off, y'all. Born on the beaches of Venice, but brought to the banks of Maharis, off of Jefferson and Navajo, ladies and gentlemen, that connected me to the water, mm-hmm. connected me to the land, connected me to the natural things. And so that also allowed me to get education mm-hmm. about our nature, education more about the things around us. And then for those that really don't, understand, and when they see my skin and have it, they say, what's going on? I have eczema. Mm-hmm. Another term, dermatitis. Mm-hmm. A topical level of an allergy. Mm-hmm. And here we go. Gonna break down a little information for the Michiganders. Mm-hmm. Michigan has fluoride in its water. Mm-hmm. I'm allergic to the fluoride in the water, ladies and gentlemen. So that made me become a specialist about what's going on in our water.
Absolutely.
So when we talk about the pipes, when we talk about the rust, right? Mm-hmm. When we talk about why we need to pay attention to Detroit, Flint, and now Benton Harbor, right? Mm-hmm. I'm hitting Benton Harbor every day now. Mm-hmm. And so our black cities, we realize that we need individuals that are not new to the game.
That's right.
About what's going on.
That's right.
But be focused on progressively making sure our children
are safe.
Safe. Because if lead is in our water mm-hmm. and they're in our babies' bodies for a long period of times, mm-hmm. it has already statistically stated that they will have growth issues and mm-hmm. deficiencies, along with education mm-hmm. Inhibitors and mm-hmm. not being able to comprehend and learn at the same levels as other children that does not have these obstacles by having contaminants in their water. Right. And so those things started me being more engaged. connecting with the universities, and when they came out with surveys as a parent organizer. Well, we can give the parents $25 if they ask these questions.
Right.
And then I feel like the real one that activated me was the survey for children that were around freeways in Detroit. Those that were off Southfield Freeway specifically, where it actually, I feel like the stretch from like Schoolcraft to Grand River, where it kind of comes up.
Yeah.
The freeway is kind of like land level.
Yeah.
And we realized almost 80% of the children off of those streets had asthma.
And what was the reason why?
The freeways. The carcinogenics and the contaminants that are coming off the freeways and into the airs and creeping into our children's bedrooms at night.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And so in other communities, when you go 696, you see high barrier walls.
Yeah.
You see real trees, or
Yeah.
it's a large space
Right.
between the freeway and from the wall to be able to capture those negative carbon imprints, and so they don't choke us out at night.
And you know what? I'm going to interrupt because she's dropping some amazing nuggets. I did not pay attention to I've always noticed as you leave the city, you start to see the walls, and you start to see the nice grass, and you see the trees, like the carbon catchers, I like to call it. But when I come into the city, I see the low barricades or the low walls. But then I see the grass, but I see so much trash and, as you say, chemical droppings and stuff that there's nothing catching that. And now you really opened me up because I didn't even pay attention. Like, why is that such a difference? Why does it, when you leave the city, you see a whole difference? I just noticed that when you were leaving the city, you noticed that you were leaving it. And then what made me recognize that was those walls. You just dropped some nuggets and said that it's all, environmental related.
Yes,
wow.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
And this is why we want to make sure that there's leadership put in place that is going to focus on our air, right? And then also be able to call out these corporate entities that is focused on greed, consistently producing and putting, here we go, different type of car companies. We say oil shops, mechanic shops, and no one's regulating them at a high level. And I think from the state capacity, we want to make sure that our future has clean air.
Yeah.
That the carbon imprint is being reduced. When we talk about, we know within the last couple of months, I'm not sure of how many people saw the report, that we must transition now to clean energy and renewable implementations at 2035 rather than 2050.
Okay.
Right? So we're saying the polar bears, there is no ice. The caps have melted.
Wow.
The water has crested. And so now what we're saying is now we're trying to save ourselves because the temperatures are rising. Even today, I think on Channel 4, they were telling us that Michigan and the other few surrounding states, our canopies are so colorful, like your shirt and like the one I'm wearing, right? And they say in a few years, we won't have that canopy.
Wow.
Right? And so when we say environment, I'm on this believe in Jesus. So some folks just say, get right, church, let's go home, right?
Okay.
We want to make sure you're so right, so that's a good part too.
Exactly.
But what we also want to make sure that we're conscious of what we can do to allow us to have a less carbon imprint, allow us to reach for more funding and policies to make sure we protect our babies. And then when, you've heard me say a million times, when I talk about the environmental aspect, I also integrate it with the housing.
Exactly.
That, what I say, this toxic is creeping into our back doors, into our windows at night while we sleep. And so why, if we know we have a high pollutant in certain areas, it's not demanded to have certain air filtration systems, right? Certain communities right now, I'm just throw y'all out there, Farmington and Troy, 90% of their population has water filter systems. Oh, wow. They're not just drinking out them pipes. Oh. Everybody know about Culligan?
Oh,
right? Yeah. That's a filtration system. Yeah. And so when we say that, so air, they're paying for water.
Right.
Right? I'm just keep it real. Those companies bringing those negative carbons, they should be paying to clarify our air. Right? And I'm not just talking about 48217 because everybody know that is the dirtiest zip code in the cities of Detroit and along, I believe, in the country. Yeah. Right? I got to give a shout out to our environmental warriors over there.
Yes.
doing the do.
Yes, they
and
are.
so we know that is a real thing. That
Yes, it
Marathon U.S. Steel has taken over and has been there for years.
Yeah.
And Rashida,
Yeah.
our 13th congressional representative, has been fighting, been living over there for years, saying
Right.
that it has been a travesty and so of a negative impact on the people that's been living over there. But now we are allowing those same entities to come into our other communities,
Right.
our
Right.
other districts.
Right.
And that's why it's time to have leadership to be able to say, no, this is what we're not going to do.
I like that. What we not
This is
going
what
to
we're
do.
not going to do. We're going to make a cleaner transition. And so that was another reason that activated me to be able to say, you know what, this is why I need to be at the table. And so I'll just speed it up to say, of course, a mother of 5, being a homeowner, people telling me when I bought my home after me and my husband separated, girl, you know about this TEP? It's tax exemption application. I'm like, what do you mean?
Right.
Girl, they got something to help you pay your taxes. So I was the person that got that kid credit tax, got that hot 4,500 or something. That's what I was doing for 2 years, paying off my back taxes. Because I bought a house that had 2 years worth of back taxes. And I didn't understand that the taxes that were occurring were multiplying with an interest of 18%.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And by the second time I paid it, I'm like,
Right.
is this the same?
Right. Right.
Am I okay? What just happened here?
Oh, just fast. How did that happen? Like,
Yeah. And that's when I applied for the tax exemption application. I was already doing community work, contracting out. I told you I was also a surveyor with the land bank, with different other various projects before, because of land bank, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah. Yep.
But once we realized, nobody knew about it either.
Right. The information was not circulating. And when you don't get the information out, guess what? People don't know what's happening till the very last minute. By the time they get the information, the funding is dang near gone. And they're still in the foreclosure statuses and they're losing their home.
Yes.
And so what I like that you dropped that information, that information was there, but how was it getting to the people? And why wasn't the leadership pushing that out in the community?
That's it right there. No, you own it. And that's where we were saying that was in the time frame of about 216. Right at 215, ladies and gentlemen, you realize, remember, we had that first flood. Right?
Yep.
So that's what activated me to be more with Sierra Club, Michigan United, on their environmental team. Mama Emma Lockridge, got to give a shout out to her.
Yes.
Along with Dorothea E. Thomas, because she was with the Sierra Club for the Detroit chapter also. And so once we conclude that this was a climax, 215 the floods. 216, you was hearing about resources that was available. Then I think really 217 did a real thunderclap, and it was like very exposed of the foreclosures and how many people were affected, how many people left, and how many people were just never restored and still was homeless.
Right.
That was when it was a ripple and was like, what? And then we started hearing other cities. Oh, the gentrification going on.
All across the nation.
All across the nation. And I think there was, I know that, I think it's Greenwich, New York.
Greenwich, New York, yep.
And they were saying that 10 years before that, it was, drug infested, gang infested.
Right.
And then they took a picture of it and it was so gentrified. Like, everything was a green market. It was,
It was horrible.
So it was like, okay, so this is what it looks like when money and investors come in and say what we rather invest in the community and make money for ourselves and restore it and help the people that were already there that has been misplaced, forgotten about, and not done right. Because the people prior to legislative should have made sure this shouldn't occur.
It shouldn't have occurred. Yep.
Right. And so these are levels, and this is why I go there, because when people was asking me, I think you should run. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. What I'm going to do is you're going to keep educating the people. We're going to keep building up team members. We're going to get more engaged with more organizations. And ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know, I've been engaged with over 28 organizations for over 20 years, right?
Yes.
So I say professional volunteer, I was, right?
She was doing her homework prior to running for an elected office. And those are the kind of leaders that you're looking for. You're looking for people who's already been in the community, who's already did the footprint, who's already did the groundwork, and who has the solution. So now you ready. You can go into the table now saying, okay, well, I already know what I need to get done. I need to get to the table. This is what we have to look for when we're looking for candidates as they are running for these seats. Now, let me be clear on this.
Yes.
What I want the community to understand, if there are people who have been in elected seats
Mm-hmm.
prior to trying to get to a higher elected seat, and your communities are still failing,
Mm.
and those same people who have the opportunity in those terms to fix the problem or at least set the stage for the next lawmaker or leader to come in and say, hey, look, I started this groundwork. It's moving. I'm not going to run this term again, but here's some footprint for you. Here's something. Say, for instance, when you're walking into this new seat, if the last leader ain't putting no footprints down,
girl,
and if that last leader ain't really made no significant dents in the community in which they were serving, we can't reelect those people for another seat.
No.
Because if they're at that seat now, which is an elected seat, how can I trust you to at a higher seat? Which means you're going to get at a higher seat and be more compromised.
Absolutely.
So when I say Rosin Osborne is already the person for your district, for your state house, because she has done her homework. She has done her footwork. She has put her time in. And now she's ready. And then so when she decides in those years when she's ready to come off that seat, she can get somebody else ready because she know what it took to get there.
The succession plan.
The succession
plan, ladies and gentlemen.
And so yes,
that's what we're talking about. This is a real plan that we identify those that are already moving behind us, right? Because when we look at our counterparts, Republicans, you know they're already planning 10 years ahead of us.
So they're planting their seeds. They're training their youth.
We giving you their secret.
It ain't a racist thing. We just telling you how this game works.
It is. This is what they do.
When we see that about us, when we never prepare our young people, that's true. Because guess what? We are sometimes latter leadership. I like to say that don't want to give up the position. So instead of prepping someone
get comfortable, that's what it is. We're gonna
for
get
that seat, because when you get 60, 70, 80 years old, you shouldn't want to be running for no more seats.
You should be succeeding. Yes, you shouldn't
and,
die out in a seat.
And then leaving it unfinished, because now that you haven't trained anybody to see what you were doing, if you were doing something, because apparently if you ain't laughing nothing, you ain't done nothing.
See, and you know what? I'm glad you said that, because I look at it as like the churches, how the elders, right? You have certain elders, we're not going to say that they no longer do the work, because they still come to church, right? If they got to do the prayer or the scripture, they still do the prayer or the scripture, right? But they may not have a high level over certain ministries that they did before.
Right.
But they're there to advise and to be wise counsel.
Yes.
So we're not saying that there should be a succession and a transition, someone comes in place, and then you don't see these people anymore.
Right.
No. We still want the elders. We still want the wisdom.
Exactly.
But what we were asking that there should be a process of moving forward in that. And even when we say my current representative, like you saying, being able to look like what a representation should look like, mine does not. I was even listening to something on the radio today that's saying that a Democratic representative should be in focused and in tuned and in aligned with their Democratic Party.
Yes.
My current representation is not. When they discuss about the voting capacity right now, Stacey Abrams has said it. We're at Jim Crow 2.0 all the way.
I talked about that today. I had a conversation with a young man who was 27 years old. He was my Lyft driver. And we had a very in-depth conversation. And I told him, I said, let me be clear. If we don't get focused and in tuned, I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing slide back. I'm seeing us going back into the Jim Crow. I'm seeing us going back into the segregation. I'm even going to put it out there like I've been telling youth for the last 10, 12 years. Y'all going to mess around and we're going to be back on the slave ship. And when I'm not talking about the ships pulling up to the docks, I'm talking about someone's going to control you.
Yeah.
And it's going to become a law because we're too divided and undecisive. And this strong head about I don't have to listen to you. Yes, you do. Because if you don't listen, you miss the lesson. This is what my father and mother and grandparents always taught me. Learn to listen to get the lesson. You can't always know something if you ain't listening. So how did you know this if you not listening? You're going by your own personal experience or figuring out things. Okay, I figured it out, so I know. No. Ain't nothing wrong with figuring it out.
Yeah.
But allow yourself to listen. Let's close the gap of this generational device in our black communities when it comes to politics. And I'll say this again. If you're 60, going into your 70s and 80s, please don't run for that seat again. Please don't do that to us. I'm saying this as a mother, as a community leader, and as a person that I'm not trying to hold nobody's seat until I'm 70, 80 years old. I want to get in, make my change, start passing the torch, start preparing the next new blood for it.
Yeah.
We got to start thinking new blood, older leaders.
We do.
Stop thinking that you need to sit in the seat as a form of, I don't want to be in the house. Find something to do. Get a hobby.
And I want to say, why the hobby can't be teaching, right?
Exactly.
Why the hobby can't be advising, right? And so, like you're saying, but the younger must understand that they have to listen to the wisdom that's available.
Absolutely.
I even said when I first started organizing, like I said, 2017 with Detroit Action, my campaign was keeping families in their home and stopping the foreclosures of occupied homes. The first people I organized was those 65 and older. I said that they're the militant. You can't reinvent the wheel. They already know how this works.
Exactly.
So let's touch base with them. Feel the fire. Let them give me the feedback on what's the real deal.
Yes.
And they did. And so, like you're saying, that wisdom is available in the knowledge of those that lived before us.
Right.
Called experience.
Experience.
Okay? What they say, sometimes the school of hard knocks.
All that.
I mean, yeah. And there's many people that actually have learned from and come up so higher at a high capacity. You know, like they say, I don't even look like what I done been through.
That part.
And what we want to just, like we say, not, cast to the side.
Right.
Our elder.
Right.
But what we want to uplift, this power is shifting at a different capacity.
Yes.
And we want to be more at the younger level, the legs, right? Bringing in the digital savvy and the text to be able to compete as a higher level. Even when we talk about the funding, right? And we were talking about this about how communities always supported through the churches or chicken dinners, kids going to college, right?
Yeah.
We have lacked off on that.
Yes, we have.
Right?
Yes,
and so even when we talk about the fundraising capacities, we have to support the candidates.
That's right.
Because these candidates are regular people.
Right.
They're not people with billionaire jobs.
Exactly.
And CEOs of companies.
And what they call, we don't have baby trust funds. And
Come on.
We don't have any of that.
There we go. I mean,
we never really did. It all came from the community supporting that candidate. That's how that candidate was able to get the seat, because the community trusts what they were going to do. We've lost that.
And then when I'm about to uplift, and then we're going to make sure we give a station ID. I want to make sure that we uplift those organizations that are doing the work. Like I said, I'm connected with through the last 20 years, over 28 organizations doing the work, down and gritty in the community, along with our churches and so forth, doing that hand and that heart work, which we realize majority of it, the city and our state really should have been a trickling it down to suffice a lot of these needs.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we said, well, wait a minute, these nonprofit and these organizations were put in place to actually do these things. But some of these orgs were birthed out of pain.
Yes, they were.
Right?
Yes, they were.
Trauma. Like,
yes.
I'll just use something simple as the diaper programming.
Okay.
Right? Parents need diapers. Now, that's simple. No one's paying this program for this young lady, Miss Claiborne, right now. This is a program. She may get a little stipend, but this is from her heart. Right? She's been doing it for years. And I just dropped that because we must understand that there are a lot of individuals that don't get compensated. These pantries, they're out in the middle of the winter and the summer, 48, 50 weeks a year to serve the community. They may take home a little food, but they're not getting compensated.
They're not getting compensated. They hard working.
They hard working. And guess what they're doing it from?
The heart.
Right? And so I lift them up because guess what? When there's real issues going on, like we say, the property tax issues.
Yes.
Come on now.
Let's talk about
People still overassess.
Yep.
Right? There's really nobody on the table talking about how we going to really, here we go, restore
them. That's the question. How? Even when we got even in the current administration, and that question has been asked to them, and the response has been, "We can't. Why can't you?" Yes. I'm trying to figure out why you can't. There's that word is when he threw that word out, we just simply can't do it, and moved on to the next topic. I was like, wow. So again, pay attention, people, when you're talking about reelecting people. Because you haven't been hit don't mean your community hasn't been. Go through your communities and look at your communities. And if you don't have sympathy for others, although you're doing okay, we're in trouble.
Yes, we are. All right, and I want to transition into our station ID. Thank you for your watching Wjzz Cool TV. We are live streaming on the quarantine from Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter Live, and other top social media platforms. Make sure that you like, follow, and share. And, also subscribe and put our comments. We only got a couple viewers in, but so let everybody know we got another 38 minutes, and we're going to be getting it in, talking about the platforms or getting engaged, why I'm voting. And we're also going to make the transition to talk a little bit more this evening about that redistricting.
Yes.
We definitely got to hit on that, right? Because a lot of people was not knowledgeable about it. A lot of people have not been participating, and at this point, we realize the map has been cut off from actually selecting and cutting your map sample. So I have a couple tips and techniques that we're going to use if you need to still submit up your map sample, but we want to make sure you get your comments in, and then make sure you understand that this process is supposed to be not divisive or not racist, but I think it still is. Yeah. So, and I'll pass it over to you.
Again, thank you again, Ross, for coming in and being the candidate that your district needs. The House district needs a recovery, and people have been hungry for years for the kind of work that you've been planning. You've been planting your seed for years, so we want to see it grow. I'm wishing you all the very best. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna put a God has put his hands on it. So the people's going to get you this time. I remember when you ran in the last election, I still felt that you had it. We won't get into the details of, politics, but I'll say this. You won't miss her this time because God has already planned it for you guys to get a true fighter, a true leader, and a person is going to go in and work on your behalf, period, point blank. And so, I want to uplift her in that. And again, November 2nd is approaching, guys. We got 2 weeks.
It is.
And we need to start really, 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 really filling our minds with who we're going to have leading us. You heard Anthony Adams talk about his run for city council.
Come on.
You've heard him tell you straight up, no chaser, what needs to be done in our community to get our communities back right and whole. And you know what we're going through right now under our current administration. So let's be focused on that. Let's be focused on all these seats. We got mayor, we got council, we got state house, we got commissioners.
State house is 2022.
But we have commissioners and city councils and at-large and CACs. And these proposals that are coming out.
Yes.
Please research your proposals. If you don't know about them, it's just a click of a button. Put them in your search engine or your phones. If you don't tech savvy, have your grandson, niece, somebody. Type it in for you and start reading. Hit your libraries, elderly people. Talk to the people who's in these seats now and ask them what it is. And if they're not giving you the truth, research it yourself. Because this is we're at a pivotal time. We need leadership in order for Detroit to move forward. So please get very diligent about it. And please, for God's sake, get out and vote. When we wanted Trump out of office, what did we do? We got up off our butts. We took our souls to the poll. And what I mean, we took our feet to the polls. And we showed the world. We showed the world that the city of Detroit have voters. We came out in a fair, what was that number? 250,000 people that voted in the presidential election. I want to see that same 250,000 and more come out in this mayoral, in this council, and all these other seats, because you have to understand, local defines the higher seats. So please think about that when you're as we're approaching the 2 weeks voting. Please, everybody, I urge you as a community leader, advocate for home care. I'm fighting for workers who have been fighting for years for their pay, respect, and protection on these jobs that we do when we go into these homes, caring for people, families. I've been uplifting this workforce for over 10 years, and I'm going to keep uplifting them until we get legislative change for this workforce. So when I tell you your vote matters, it matters. Don't ever let anyone tell you or detour you from voting. Yes, things are crazy right now. Yes, things look impossible. But that vote, your vote will make the impossible possible. So remember that as we think about moving into the 2021 local elections.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I'm so happy that she pivoted with voting and getting your voice heard, because, ladies and gentlemen, for the August election, there was only 14% and some change.
Mm-hmm.
I kept trying to round it off 15%. People was like, no, it's 14.
We couldn't even get to the 0.5.
I don't think, I was about to say, I don't think we made 0.5. But that's the travesty. So, because if you think of even 15% out of 100, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or the 14%, that's 85 to 86% of the population that did not vote in August. And the current mayor is stating his win number off of that.
Yes.
So he is banking that only the additional 15% of this population vote, or 14 and change.
Mm-hmm.
And what I just want to say to the city of Detroit, if you choose to elect him, do so. But please agitate to a point to get out and vote. That we can at least get to a 20 to 25%.
At least we can raise that vote percentage.
Count,
yes.
Right? To say that you cared about this last leg, because guess what? It's a lot of money being on the table.
Yes, it is.
And the more you get your voices out, the more you shift the dynamics and you put a little fire up under the legislators that we currently be putting in office, right? The less people that vote, they get some type of thing in their head is, the less people looking at me. And that's never how that they should be looking at it, right? We're trying to bring a different era to Detroit.
Yeah.
We've seen it, and like Henrietta said, people are losing their hope because we realize that every day we, you know, turn on the news and other stuff is going on between COVID and folks going to jail and etc. But the reality is, if you don't get your voice heard, if you don't put your vote in, and the person that you actually kind of was leaning to, that you wanted to be your candidate, and if they're not selected, whose fault is that? I think we mentioned last week that a household changed certain race, right? Cynthia A. Johnson won because 6 people voted for her.
Yep.
That's how many.
And that was the recount. They didn't even count that 6, but when they read the recount, they said, "Oh, you got 6 more votes. You definitely won."
There we go. So we want to say every vote counts, right? And then if you want to walk your ballot in, do so.
Yes.
We don't have to worry, because right now I'm gonna keep telling. It's kind of close to the absentee, and they already done told us that the mail will be delayed.
Wow.
The mail will be moving slower. So if you're not dropping it in today or tomorrow, you might as well
just go in and vote.
Walk on in and use that as your example of what you were going to review it, because as we discussed, you know, those 3 proposals are on there.
Yep.
And we want to make sure that you guys get educated. You Google them. You even call up your friends and the community to have a more larger conversation about it, to make sure everybody's informed and engaged. Because what we realize, the community work groups do amazing to engage information and to dissect, you know, really to try to find out the facts that's going on. So I just thank you for lifting up that, because the fact that right now we had the mayoral candidate after Anthony Adams right before us, he was frank. Straight to the point. I mean, I'm going to keep it real. Kind of shocked me a little bit. I'm actually like, let's do a little 2-minute commentary on that real quick, right?
Yeah.
And so we definitely wanted to make sure that you had another opportunity to hear what he felt, how he wanted to represent, and then his point of view on certain things. I mean, one, I did like how he uplifted. He worked for the mayor, Kwame Kilpatrick, but he wasn't invited to the wedding. So he wanted to try to say that I worked for him, but I wasn't Gucci.
See what I'm saying? It was work professional. That's it. It's and it's nothing wrong with that, because that's how you keep it clean. Because there's no, you know, this and this going on. Because if you work for me, I know you. I know of your works. That's cool too. Yeah,
and then he went into the pre-part of the story, right, when things were starting to break down and how, you know, when the investigations and things started to occur. He was very transparent about that, and I think that was very informative, because a lot of the residents really wanted to know. And we rather him tell his own story than someone tell his story for him. This is a real thing. We know what they do with our people, right? And so I'm just thankful that we had the opportunity. Sorry about the switch of the time, ladies and gentlemen. That was totally out of our hands. So, but I just want to even ask you, what did you feel like out of the interview that you took away from or learned more about him?
I really felt intrigued to know that, you know, he was transparent,
Mm-hmm.
very personal
Mm-hmm.
about his relationship with Kwame Kilpatrick. And I took away like, okay, if we have a leader that's telling you that and being that transparent, that's something to look at as an A+, because you got a transparent person running for a leadership seat and telling you his own personal story. That means you have somebody who's going to be transparent with you. He didn't hide anything. He didn't make no big secret. He didn't try to embellish it. He just told you straight up, no chaser. This is who I am. I'm for the people. Yes, this is the talk. So I took away from that is I can vote for somebody who's transparent. We may not like the story behind it, but it's transparency. But we look at the seat moving forward. And if we want more from Anthony Adams, then it's our part as citizens and voters to keep him engaged, to come down to that city council, to come down here on Woodwood and hit those meetings when we have those meetings.
Absolutely.
Those meetings are important. So I took that away from it. And I like the fact that, he has a lot of wonderful ideas about what he wants to do to see people move ahead in this city. He talked about the $600 million. Remember, you heard me mention that when we asked the current administration about it, they had no answer. It was the answer literally was blatantly, "There's nothing we can do about that."
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be transparent. And Mike Duggan, if you're watching, please don't understand. I'm not jogging you, but I'm just quoting your words. When the question came about in one of your State of the States or City of the City addresses, and you quoted out that question about the $650 million, you simply said out of your mouth, "There's nothing we can do about that." Those are your words, not mine. So when I say that live in front of our audience, I want people to understand if your current administration is telling you ain't nothing I can do about that, but you're homeless and your money is gone, that's like a thief coming into your house taking all your money, saying, "Okay, the police caught me, but they said I ain't got to pay it back, so I'm about to walk free and rob somebody else." So we have to get diligent about, again, who we're voting for. And Anthony Adams was very transparent, and that's what you want. You want transparency. And that's what I took away from it.
Yes. And so, and that's where I'm thinking when you, like you said, when you brought to me and uplifted, dropped his mind, when I think of Dirty Mike. It's either Dirty Dan or Dirty Mike. He said a couple of times what he's not going to do. He's actually talked to Mama Lila, one of our Mama Warriors. God bless her soul and rest her. And she rest in peace. Yes, definitely. She was amazing.
Yes, she
woman.
was.
And I remember being in an event with her. And he told her the water wasn't contaminated. We didn't need new pipes. He ain't about to do none of that.
Wow.
And I feel even just recently to tell us that we are not going to have a debate. He's not going to talk to the residents and actually try to defend and put himself in an opportunity to say, okay, I want to be it for my job. I mean, I pay, because y'all pay
me.
There we go. Y'all pay my check. I represent y'all.
Yeah.
But when you don't feel that way,
Uh-oh.
When you already feel entitled, when you already feel like I got this on lock. And so this is where I do say thank you, Anthony Adams, because ladies and gentlemen, it's only 2 people on the ballot.
Yes.
It's only 2 people on the ballot. And so by that being the case, we do want to have as much exposure to both of the candidates.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because the mayor thinks he's slick because he's not going to give you a room.
Nope.
With you to get free flow questions.
That's right.
Like Henrietta said, to be transparent and be able to straightforward and try to answer them.
That's right.
So that's a real thing.
That's
a
real
thing.
That's a red flag.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, look like we got a special guest that's about to pop in with us. All right, we got Miss Napanji Thomas. Dr. Napanji.
Let's get it right.
Dr. Napanji Thomas. We're sorry, it's our girl.
I had to come in just to hear you guys. I heard you all. I was watching and I was like, you know what? Let me get my butt up there so I can say hello to my ladies before I leave out. And see Miss Roslyn, who is running for state rep.
Thank you. Yes, I'm glad you joining us. I'm about to say she about to leave. Oh my goodness. It's a privilege, guys. Yes. Okay, we got this camera on.
All right.
So yes, it's a privilege. So let us know. What are you about to do?
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to be headed to Japan doing some counseling for military families. I'll be gone for about a year, but I'll still be doing my duties as precinct delegate until my term is up. But Roz, tell us more about you and your platform and what you're going to be trying to do for state rep, and what can we see from you?
Yes. So thank you, Pansy. You know, she's amazing, guys.
She is, yes,
And y'all better donate to her campaign too.
Yes, right now. I will definitely drop my links and how you can be part of the team and to contribute and make sure I got funding for my yard signs and kick cards. But yes, so you guys already know that we've talked about we're already at this level of Jim Crow 2.0. And so our current leadership is not defending or protecting or making any noise about us having more access to our voting rights and to make sure our residents are uplifted about what's going on. It's very quiet in my district. And so for those that don't know what is the boundaries or the communities of State House 9, Warrendale, which is kind of connected to Cody Rouge. We have Far West Side. We have what we call our Riverdale area. We have, I always say, look, I jumped on the far other end, bringing it in from our Russell Woods to our aviations. And then we definitely kind of bend it on in because I have just 2 precincts of Dearborn, which is 5 and 7, and then coming on back down to our Warren Ave. And so our community is condensed. It is diverse to a point, right? Because y'all hear me say a lot that I represent a large population of black communities. And what we realize, though, when we go to our community meetings in Warrendale and Cody Rouge, we are blessed to have the levels of our congresswoman to show up.
Yes.
Our Wayne County Commissioner, got to throw it out there, Alicia Bell, show up, right?
Yep.
And I even say, you know, I'm gonna he out the way right now, but I'm gonna say LaDon be showing up for city council representation. But we didn't have a state representative that was in the space, right? Trickling down those policies that were occurring, making sure we had representation at the state level,
right?
And so we were going to the coffee houses. She was there, talking about stuff that we weren't talking about. We asked her about property taxes. She was like, oh, yeah, that's not a real issue for me. Oh, and then we brought to her, I'm not sure if many people knew year before last, 2019, when they were trying to remove the catastrophic coverage for our insurance coverage, right?
Yep.
And so for those that didn't know that John Conyers held and maintained that policy for years. It was like Cadillac coverage. And that is articulated from Isaac Robinson, the state representative over in District 4. And so once I said, now that you can't touch, you got to keep that, right? Michigan is like known for gold with that. She said, if you don't even tell anybody about catastrophic coverage, they won't even know it existed.
But you know, she's right. However, you wouldn't expect that to come from your state representative because this is someone that's supposed to give you resources.
And not take them away.
Exactly.
Especially if they were already pre-existing for so long.
Exactly. Right. And the thing is, if people don't know about it, how come you're not informing them as a state representative about their privileges that they can have? So how would you have done that differently if you were in that office?
Well, the bottom line, I would have protected it. I would have ensured that it would have been, we would still have access to that. But I realized, and that's why when we started off saying what would activated me to vote. I mean, to actually run for this office and to say that I can't just vote for her again. And I have to represent my district at a higher level. It's because, like we're saying, at the time in not just our district, but the city of Detroit, they were offering us this insurance coverage,
right? Yes.
You know, COVID kind of got us like, but 2 years ago, we it's a D, literally D level grade D. It was not a high quality insurance, and it basically
that's
passed.
why it was D.
There you go. And then it passed, but we are paying insurance and still don't have no coverage. We still have no fault. Right. And so, but we lost the catastrophic coverage, and I would have fought to maintain it. And so when we realized that we have individuals that are put in seat by other individuals that have a self-interest to remove things and not to protect and maintain things, right? And then also when we were talking about COVID, the high capacity, we had no one door knocking and making sure resources was available. Right. Nobody asking, how are our seniors getting access to this, any health? Who making sure they're not dying in their houses? Right? And so what I also conclude is that the relationships that I have already made with our congressional with our county and with our city officials, I've created a concert and a symphony or a symphony. Yes, of us to be able to work together and I'm not trying to down anybody of how they try to organize or to come up with any solutions. But I don't think always calling the news or going on Facebook is the best way when you have someone's number and when you know what they do for a living. So if their job is to do X, Y, and Z, right? And so like I was saying to Henrietta earlier, is that I had the opportunity to be trained to know all our levels of government. And that's a unique factor too.
Well, speak about that. How did you come across that training, and really what skills did you obtain to help you in this position as state rep?
Yes, that is a good question. And so we talked about life skills, right?
Well, life skills, yeah.
So, like you're saying, being part of a parent trainer, a lot of people don't realize is being a housewife for 12 years, you got the ability to just do all type of free stuff, right? So I did take a lot of free classes. I'm not going to lie. A lot of things that I felt that was interesting or something you can learn from yourself. You just say, let me just jump into that, right? But on the political sector, I start identifying what's a precinct delegate, right? Really, what's the role of our congresswoman or our Congress representatives, right? And at the time, we had Kilpatrick, right?
Okay.
Which, I don't know how many people don't know, not aware of her high level of governing our funding in our city and districts. When she left, ladies and gentlemen, there was no one oversighting on make sure dollars were funneled our way.
I was going to say the money left.
Yes.
When she was representing for us.
For the district
because it was flowing.
Yes. And
you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then we lost affirmative action.
Yep.
Right? Now that was really I feel like the activator to say, hold on. How they take affirmative action when it was already special accommodation for communities that were restricted for certain things.
Okay, right.
Same thing we were saying the redistricting, right?
Right.
Redistricting was based on redlining. They wanted to keep black others, immigrant communities away from white population because if you did so, it diminished their basically
their values, property value, and everything.
Yeah, it made it we're fearful for them, or they're we're gonna have crime. So when we start to populate more closer to those boundaries, they move, right? So we saw that impact. But like we're saying, for the current representation, as we looked in our district, silent.
Right.
We're asking for certain things. No one's in the room.
Yeah, but the training that you had to help you, what trainings did you actually have to help?
Okay, look.
Because people may not know that you are like a master organizer.
Like, literally.
That's
right.
true. And see, look, when they say training, I'm trying to start. Look, find where to start, ladies and gentlemen.
Right, because we know you started with your children.
Right. Yes.
And being that parent
so
advocate.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and this is the part where she always tries to get this out of me because I fight against academia, ladies and gentlemen. Because my daughter is going for her master's and everything, but I realize is that a lot of us, like I say, learn from the schools of hard knocks, right?
Yes.
So I always want to uplift those that have not had the privilege to get into certain rooms to be educated.
Right.
So, but I am going to expound on my education, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm waiting.
So yes. So I feel like one high level of, I would say, the political educations is I did week-long, which we had the opportunity to go around the country I do believe it was in Chicago for 7 days to be trained as a master organizer. I've been in D.C. probably 7 times to speak to either our congresswomen or our senators on behalf of other things. And so the first, I can say, political training for me to get in the room was actually with State Representative is Mary Robinson? Isaac Robinson, mother?
Oh, okay,
Yes.
Mary Robinson.
I just wanted to make sure I said her first name right.
Mary
Yes.
Robinson, yes.
And so,
Shout out to Mary Robinson.
yes, shout out to Mary Robinson. Yes. And it was on the CARES. So a lot of people don't know I am a 4th generation Detroiter, but I was born in California. So I came back with my mother when we were 11 years old because my grandmother was diagnosed with cancer. And so, but we also realized there were no care programs for seniors. So that's why my mother was like, no, my mom's not going to no home. And then my grandfather was in the house too. So, but I saw what that looked like when a child had to come home and take care of her ailing parents.
So is healthcare like a main issue for you?
Now, but this was the first thing that I was able to present to Mary Robinson, state representative, because I had experienced it. See, so the reality is, what do we bring with us when we go into the rooms with
telling
our senators?
our story.
We don't just grab it out of the bag. We don't say, let me think about it.
Exactly.
It is what it is, right? And I was able to identify that and understand that they're not funding or programming for transitioning into eldership, right? We were saying that in general. And then even my mother had to leave California. And then when we realized there was no support that was already here, and there was other siblings here.
Right.
So when I went to her asking more for CARES funding, right, more CARES aspect for our seniors, and I was all prepped, I was all ready. Girl, she was like, girl, go ahead. What you got to talk about? I was like, oh. But it was just like I was talking to my grandma, my aunt.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
She's very transparent like that, down to earth.
Yeah, and so I feel like the high level training, I'm gonna keep it real, is when I got in the room and start just talking to high level people, and then bringing into the room those impacted, those most displaced, right? I did have to have.
So you started basically as an advocate, because that's all I'm hearing. Is that you've been an advocate, and the issues that impacted you and your family, you went to those state representatives and other leaders that could actually do something, and you came with actual solutions to the problem. Because you've actually written some policies. Correct?
Yes, we moved forward with, now, we don't want to take full credit for the pay to stay, but we brought the first vernacular along with the pay to stay. We even, our team was with also, we'll say with Sheffield with her reparations, that Detroit Action Commonwealth. That team, original team, would help formulate some of those verbiage for those people's bills. Because I believe we stood out there with them when they proposed it on September 2019, man. I think you're in that picture. And so, and then also the bill at the state level, pay this 1234, which is supposed to make this retroactive. We're still working on that because we got to follow these bills, because, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes you start something and it get out the corral because someone else picks it up. So we want to make sure it still looks like what you wanted, you created it, and it ends like that, right? And not have other things that don't include the people that were displaced. Right. And so that's a real thing. And then also, I feel like the majority of my educational training and getting into big edifices or institutions was more with my environmental. So Sierra Club and Michigan United allowed me to do a lot of training nationally. So when I went to Lord's Tech, I did the water training with them. I've also did with WC3. I graduated with my business and administration and associates, but I maxed out totally of all the environmental packages that they had at the beginning. There was no programs between 214 and 216 concerning environmental. And so I took all of those concerning every aspect of renewable implementations, from geothermal, from tumble walls, from solar, from wind turbine, into water turbine.
So let me ask you, because I'm really excited about this energy thing, and I know you're really an advocate for the environment. How do you think Detroit or Michigan can use our water to help power us?
Yes. So I'm so happy she asked this, because I don't know if you saw, did anybody see the article yesterday about the new lighting on the Riverwalk?
I did.
Yes.
It's not water turbines operated. And when I saw that, I'm like,
that was a missed opportunity, especially with it being right there on the water.
Right there on the water.
You know, and I know that they're supposed to do research in advance, because usually DTE does their research 10, 20 years in advance. And this, to me, they missed the mark.
Very unsustainable. And I want to just throw this out here. I know my team gonna be like, oh, did she just throw a shade? Yes, I did. Because, y'all, we gonna come on the TV and we're gonna really talk about this. So I hold many titles, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, she does.
She does. I know, right? I don't do nothing. Just regular.
Just ordinary folk.
I pick my kid up.
Look my dinner when I go
That's
home.
it.
Read me a good book.
That's
That's
it.
all I do.
Get the dog, walk the dog.
That's
every
it.
day.
Because the more they know, they oh, you do that?
Right.
Your phone will not stop ringing. True story.
But
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. I shut up now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
don't
know I
know.
forgot.
No, I'm not Dr. Thomas. No, I don't know who she is.
But
Well,
here we go. Y'all ain't ready. So I am the one of the City Detroit's Climate Equity Advisor Council members, right? And so we had a call yesterday, and this is what we talking about, Renee. I hope you watched this. When I saw that, I'm like, how are we on a committee for the last 90 days, 4 months, and no one asked us this, right? And so what we were saying is that what we will not be is poster kids for the mayor while he running. What we will not be is targets. Because we know we still have not gotten the result for the flooding in June 25th.
Right.
With the basins report, the pumping station report, we've got none of that. And we still got individuals that from FEMA for June 25th and 2 times after that that still have not been paid out.
So as a state rep, how can you work with FEMA to ensure that people are getting the coverage that they need for when floods or some type of disaster happens?
That's a good question.
Well, currently there's a process, which is I feel a little cumbersome. It's a process that's already put in place, and so we just talking, y'all. We don't even know.
no.
We about to wrap it up. Time over.
We gonna have to do a
Dr.
part 2.
Thomas
And
then
Dr.
came
Thomas
in.
got to come
We
in
just
and
gone
have
with
us a
it.
girls' night of
Yeah.
politics and conversation.
Yes.
Well, we'll have to do that from Japan.
Yes, see.
We can Zoom you.
We definitely gonna have to get y'all in, but I wanted to make sure I put in the link that for those that would like to join Team Ogburn and participate, because we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to do any volunteer, do any doors with us or any calling, and then we got update fundraisers coming up, and you'd like to join. So we just want to make sure that everybody has access. We want to appreciate you for tuning in this evening, and we'll let Henrietta close us out.
Wait, where can they reach you and donate and all that?
Yes, I can also. I put the if you go ahead and put the link and sign up, I'll send you the donate link also.
And please rejoin us back here on Friday when the quarantine reconvene at 8 p.m. We will have our host, Wjzz Osborne, Dre, and myself, and we're looking forward to some more engaging political conversations right here back at this spot on Friday at 8 p.m. Thank you again, everybody, for watching the Quarantine Special Edition, and we want to thank our amazing sister, Miss Pansy Thomas, for walking in and joining us.
Yes.
It was a lovely surprise. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you.